Hey, what's up guys? So this is actually my old office. This is where I was working out about a year and a half ago before I moved into my new home that I'm in right now. And I'm out here checking it out because I'm probably gonna be back in here in about a week or two working from here because I'm getting ACL surgery next week. So about 6-8 weeks ago, I think 2 months ago, I blew out my ACL wakeboarding. I thought I was still young. I thought I could still do the cool stuff that I used to be able to, but clearly I can't. Clearly I'm getting old now. So I'm out here getting things set up because at my new home, my bedroom, my kitchen, my office, they're all on separate floors. So it's 3 stories and it's gonna be a kind of a pain in the butt. So I'm out here like, okay, this is all single story, one place. I was like, I'm gonna get out here, get things set up. And once I got here, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna shoot a video for everyone because this past week was my birthday and it was last Thursday, and my wife, she surprised me with a quick weekend getaway from Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday to San Francisco. And on the way there, she actually surprised me. I didn't even know that we were going to San Francisco until literally we were in the airport about to board, and I heard it over the loudspeaker. I was trying to keep it a secret because I knew she had went through a lot of stuff to make it a surprise for me there. But anyway, when I was getting ready for the trip, I knew we were traveling somewhere, right? So I wanted to go through, I wanted to get an Audible book that we could go through and listen to when, an Audible book we could listen to in the plane or the car, wherever we were going. I didn't know at the time. So I went through and I got Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And I had read that book a number of times. I actually read that for the first time back when I was probably 15 or 16. But my wife, she had actually never read it. So a lot of the concepts, a lot of the strategies were completely new to her. So I thought, you know what, there's a lot of good things that I was remembered when I was going through and listening to it again. And we're not completely done. We're probably about 75% of the way through it. But there's a lot of great concepts on passive income and cash flow and getting out of the rat race, right? So I wanted to kind of share some of those different thoughts with you guys today, and hopefully it kind of like spurs some ideas for at least some of you guys. So you go through and you look at just the average person. They've got their job, right? And they're getting paid a certain amount of money, okay? And based on the income they've got, their expenses are in proportion to that. And then what happens is they'll go through and they'll get a raise. And because of that raise, they're like, oh, let's move into a bigger home, let's get nicer cars, let's go add more expenses. And so really the ratio of their income to their expenses stays pretty much the same, right? And the unfortunate thing is most jobs, most occupations, you're only making money when you're actually putting in the hours and you're actually doing the work, right? So the whole concept of this book with Rich Dad, Poor Dad is going through and creating assets, okay? Getting assets that are gonna go through and create passive income, create that cash flow. They can go through and pay for your expenses. And if you want a nicer car, a nicer house, nicer whatever, go create assets, get assets that are gonna go help you pay for that. Now, the common misconception that he talks about that a lot of people have, and I see it with a lot of people that I talk to, is they're a little bit confused on what's really an asset versus what's a liability, right? So people think that their house, they think it's an asset. They think that their cars, they think those are assets. However, if you're going through and you stop working today, the home you live in is not gonna go through and pay you any money, right? It's an asset only at the time of actually selling that property. But then at that point, you gotta take the money and you got to go buy some other home to actually go through and live in. And the same thing with your car. If you're not working, that car is actually not making money for you, unless obviously if you're an Uber or Lyft driver, your car can actually make you money. But at the same time, if you're not actually out there driving people around, you're not making money. So he gave a really good example that I liked, and it was with his wife. So his wife, I think she was wanting a Mercedes. Okay, she was wanting this really nice car. And he's like, well, perfect. Let's go through, let's build up the asset column to be able to go through and pay for that Mercedes. So they went through and they bought like a multifamily apartment or multifamily home. I can't remember exactly what it was, but they knew the number of how much that lease was on that car. and they were able to go through and create enough income, of this passive income that was coming into their lives, whether they were working or not, from this rental property, is able to go through and pay for that Mercedes, right? And then he did the same thing. He wanted a Porsche, I believe it was, and he was able to go through, get another apartment complex or multifamily home and be able to pay for that. Now, one thing I remember from reading, I read this probably about a year ago, Tony Robbins has got a book, it's called Money Total Makeover, or Money Mastering the Game, that's what it is. Okay, and then he's got another one, it's called Unshakable. They're both about money management. And he talks about in both these books how a lot of times people don't realize how close their dream lifestyles actually are. They think they need tens of millions or hundreds of millions of dollars to go through and live their dream lifestyles. Whereas if you go through and you break it down on a monthly basis, you actually don't need as much money as you might think you need. So you got kind of like the basic standard, right? Where you've got your house payment, your rent, your mortgage, whatever it might be. You've got your car payments if you need a car for your job. You know, you kind of got the necessities, utilities, all those different things. And that's like a certain number. Like let's say that's maybe $4,000 a month. Those are your expenses. So if you're making $5,000, $6,000 a month, then you're good, you're covered, right? And then you've got that next tier up where maybe you want to get a nicer car or you want to get a nicer home. And so your expenses increase a little bit, your mortgage goes up. Maybe you got, now you got car payments, or now you got bigger car payments, whatever it is. And then you've got that next tier up where it's like your dream lifestyle, the point where you're wanting to get to with your dream car. Maybe you've got a boat, maybe you've got a second home, a cabin, a lake house, something like that at this point. But the thing is, once you go through and break those things down, if you guys Google Tony Robbins Total Money Makeover, like kind of like the expense charts, he has like all the different columns and everything you want to go through and expense out to see what your monthly expenses would be. And then the whole goal is just getting your asset column, okay? So not your home, not your cars, but something that can be paying you money while you're not actively working, okay, to go through and help pay for those expenses, help pay for those nice things in life. All right, so this is something that's always on my mind because I know I'm young, and whether you're young, old, wherever you're at in your life, it's really never too early to start thinking about this. Okay, and if you're older, you probably wish you were, maybe thinking about this a little bit younger. And if you are in your teenage years, if you know this right now and understand these principles, this is golden, right? Because if you could create enough passive income to be able to always pay for your expenses, obviously, like I go through and I have enough passive income right now that I get all my basic needs, basic expenses paid for, right? Like, and I'm not one where I'm not super extravagant. I've got my basic car paid for in cash and my wife's car, and we don't live a crazy extravagant lifestyle. But the thing is like I have the passive income to go through and pay for all my expenses, yet I still work because it's just fun, right? It becomes a game. Like I was telling my wife, so Robert Kiyosaki has this game that I've been playing ever since I was a kid. It's called Cash Flow. And it's really about getting out of the rat race, grabbing those assets, getting those to the point where you can go through and have your passive income higher than your expenses. And then there's another game, it's called Acquire. That's my favorite game. So we played it actually last Thursday, my birthday. And I usually always win, and I actually took dead last this time. So I don't know what happened, but you're basically going through and acquiring assets. You're acquiring stocks in these different businesses to be able to go through and grow your portfolio. So it's a really fun concept. And honestly, as I was like playing that game and remembering that on my birthday, and I was thinking back to the game of Cash Flow, I'm like, man, the game of life really is just a game, right? It's going through and you know your expenses, okay? And if they're higher than you need to, they need to be right now, you can go through and figure out where you can cut down on Netflix, on cable, there's always basic things you can go through and cut a couple $100s a month out of your expenses. And then you go through and take that money and invest it into assets, whether that's real estate, could be real estate, right? This YouTube channel for me is another asset that's able to go through and produce income, whether I'm working or not. Okay, and there's a number of other things. There's stocks. There's a lot of other ways to go through and create this passive income to cover your expenses. And then as that asset column grows and your passive income grows, you're fine spending more money on different things that bring you joy and bring you that dream lifestyle, right? So anyway, guys, I wanted to share this all with you and let you know I'm holding a training on Tuesday. So this is gonna be a live training. If you guys are watching this video after Tuesday, so what is Tuesday? I think Tuesday's July 30th. July 31st. It's July 31st. So it's the day before I get my ACL surgery. So I'm gonna add a link to register for the live training down in the description. And if you guys are watching this after the fact, I'll add a link to the replay of that training down there as well. But I'm holding this training on how I went through and started gaining these assets, right? Going through initially starting a business that, right out of the gate, I had to be there to go through and make money and get that stuff coming. I had to put in the hours, right? But then you get to a point where if you are the business owner, okay, you can go through and leverage the business. You're gaining stock in that business, right? And you're increasing the value of the stock. And there's a lot of ways that you can go through and do this, but I found that there's one way that is simpler than any other way to go through and get started. If you have no experience with business, if you have no tech skills, if you have no money to, initially get started. And so that's what this training is all about on Tuesday. I want to go through and share with you guys how I, 2.5 years ago, I got started creating my own business, my first business, and within 90 days was able to go through and scale that from $0 to $25,000 per month. And I want to break down exactly what I did to be able to do that. And I'll show you guys a ton of examples. I'll give you guys templates. I'll show you guys how to shortcut your path to success, because I did that in my first 90 days, right? But I had been struggling for probably 2 to 3 years before that, trying to get my business to work, trying to get those assets. I understood the concept of passive income. I understood the concept of cash flow and, making more money than your expenses. And I'm sure a lot of you guys do. But I didn't really have enough money, I thought, to go invest in real estate, right? And I didn't have enough money to go through and start a brand new business completely from scratch. And so for those of you guys who are in that same position that would want that dream lifestyle, and you want to be able to go through, travel wherever you want, when you want, live life on your own terms, that's what this training is all going to be about. Okay, so I'm going to show you guys exactly my story, where I struggled, where I went totally wrong, where I went right. I'm going to give you guys the templates to shortcut your success, and how you can actually start building that asset column within the next couple of weeks after going through and jumping on this training. So I'm going to give you guys everything you need to go through and get started with that. All right, so anyway, as I mentioned earlier, there's going to be, if you see this video before the live training on Tuesday, July 31st, there'll be a link to the live training to register down below. Or if you guys are seeing this afterwards, no worries. I'll go through and I'll have the recording to that training, so you guys can kind of check that out as well. So you can go through and start building your asset column, building that passive income, so you can get out of the rat race, right? So that's my goal really with anyone watching this channel, to be able to help you guys get out of that rat race, wherever you guys might be. If you guys are starting completely from scratch, from zero, or if you're at the intermediate level, maybe you've got some assets, or maybe you're already good but you want to just continue to grow and just continue to learn like me. I love the process of learning. I view this as a game, right? It's so fun learning and trying new things and experimenting and seeing what works, what doesn't work. And the nice thing is I can share with you guys a lot of things to save you a lot of time, of what works, what doesn't work. And anyway, so guys, click down below, register for that training. Also, if you guys are brand new here, make sure you subscribe. I launch new videos every single week on how to generate more leads, make more money, grow your business. So I'm really looking forward to be able to go through and share this training with you guys. I've been working on it for several weeks now. It's been something in the back of my mind. I wanted to make sure it was right? So I get my surgery on Wednesday. I'll be doing it on Tuesday. Tomorrow I actually head out to New York City until Sunday. So I've been so slammed. I usually don't ever travel, but was in San Francisco last week, going to New York City this week, and then next month I'm going to Atlanta. I'm going back to San Francisco. So anyway, guys, I'll keep you guys all updated. And with that said, thanks so much for watching, and I will talk to you guys all later.